Hello YouTube, Beat3 here, back another kicking graphic novel trade comic review. Today we have a crossover. This is the first, not the first crossover we've done, because I think we've done comic book crossovers that are contained in the same universe, you know? Like in DC or Marvel. Because I know I've done Spider-Women, that's a crossover, but between different Marvel comics. This is a crossover between two completely different comics publishers, two different universes, two different franchises. Star Trek, Green Lantern, The Spectrum War. Now, Star Trek is one of my all-time favorite franchises. Amazing show and movies and books. I've been balls deep in all of them. And then Green Lantern is one of my other ones. Actually, just DC as a whole. But Hal Jordan Green Lantern is my favorite superhero. So, that's really cool. And this obviously has a heavy influence from Geoff Johns' Green Lantern run. And it's actually a pretty good book. The Star Trek characters are all very faithful. The Green Lantern ones are a little different than they are in like the regular DC universe, especially Larfleeze, who instead of having a long face now has a tall head. Not that that has anything to do with anything, it's just an artistic choice. But I mean, like, character-wise and how the rings function a little bit is slightly different. And that's just so they kind of fit into the Star Trek universe better. Plus, they might just work differently that way in this Green Lantern universe they're from. Because apparently the way they beat Nekron in the Blackest Night from that universe was Kyle Rayner became a White Lantern. And then this was like the second Blackest Night, which ended their universe, and then so the remaining Lanterns all came to this universe. And so there's like this big brawl, because a Klingon gets a yellow ring, a Gorn gets a red ring, a Romulan gets an orange ring. And then 3 of the members of the crew get rings. Uhura gets violet, and then goddamn Chekhov gets blue. And Bones gets indigo, compassion. And so that's that. And then no one gets a green, because there's still 4 Green Lanterns in existence. Hal Jordan and Kilowog, as well as John Stewart and Guy Gardner. Plus Blue Lantern Saint Walker, Violet Lantern Carol Ferris, and then of course Larfleeze, Atrocitus, and Sinestro are all there as well. There's just all this stuff going on, and most of them team up to fight Nekron and defeat him. And then there's all this cool stuff that happens. And there actually is a sequel book to this, which doesn't have a trade collection yet at the time of recording this. And hopefully we'll be getting, that'll come out soon, because I really want to read it. Because I actually really enjoy these two universes together. They just work well together. They're both space franchises, you know, Green Lantern and Star Trek. They both look towards a brighter future, no pun intended. You know, and they both have a very diverse set of very well-developed characters. And there's one part in this, like the best parts I think are some with Spock, because like the Black Lanterns, like the entire Vulcan race comes back as Black Lanterns on a Black Lantern Vulcan planet, and then Spock has to like confront his dead mom's reanimated corpse and stuff. And it's all pretty cray. And eventually Spock, you know, is the one, spoiler alert, that summons the entity of life, the White Lantern, which is what defeats Nekron. And the first time I read this, I was like, that doesn't really make much sense to me. Spock's very emotionally repressed. It doesn't make sense that he should be able to harness all of them. I mean, I know Spock has emotions, of course, but still. And then upon rereading it, I was just thinking about it, because I'm real balls deep in Star Trek lore and stuff. And Vulcans, it's a fact that their emotions are actually much stronger and more passionate than humans. Even though humans are kind of known as the emotional species, Vulcans actually have much stronger emotions and stuff. That's why they ended up having to repress them the way they did, because they were going to destroy themselves. They were just... It was insane. And Spock is half human, so he's actually more emotional than the average Vulcan. And Vulcans are an endangered race in this. There's only a handful of them left. So it does make sense to me that Spock was actually able to harness the entire emotional spectrum. Technically, he didn't harness Green. All the Green Lanterns just blasted him. And everyone else's rings could come off without them dying and go to Spock. Except for Red Lanterns, obviously. But the Red Lantern was also in the vacuum of space when it came off, so it was whatever. And go to Spock without them dying, but the Green Lanterns couldn't for some reason. I don't know what that was about, but I mean, whatever. And in the end, you know, it does set up for a sequel. John Stewart, Saint Walker, and Hal Jordan decide to go with the Enterprise to explore this new dimension. Sinestro, Atrocitus, and Larfleeze just kind of disappear off to do their own nefarious stuff. There's no Indigo member from the other dimension, which is a little odd to me, but I guess they just didn't have room for an Indigo. Plus, the Indigos are kind of boring. To be completely honest, the Indigos are kind of boring. But, yeah, and then the rest of them, you know, the other two Green Lanterns and Carol Ferris, whatnot, decide to stay on Earth. And just kind of explore on their own terms. But, it's a very good book. It is a very good book, and I really enjoy it. IDW and DC Comics both. And the Star Trek, I shouldn't have to say this, it's kind of already obvious, but the Star Trek is J.J. Abrams' movie universe continuity, so just thought you should know that. But yeah, that's it for Star Trek Green Lantern and the Spectrum War, written by Mike Johnson, who I am a bit familiar with, art by Angel Hernandez, colors by Alejandro Sanchez, and letters by Neil Utake, I think it's Utake. But, yeah, series edits by IDW Publishing's Sarah Gatos, and DC Entertainment's Jim Chadwick, and publisher Ted Adams. So, that is it. Thank you all very much for your support. Remember to break, comment, and subscribe. Check out the cool description below. This is a good book, very cool book. If you like space junk, it's great. It's good for Star Trek fans and Green Lantern fans. They both get an equal amount in the spotlight, and it's just a very, very cool book. But that's it. Thank you all very much for your support, and I'll see you all later.